Black women to just be, to connect to our roots and to transform into our truest selves. Today, I am so excited to announce to be working alongside Brice, the founder of Yoga for Philly. He has an incredible surprise in store for you all, so make sure you stay tuned. He's put in a lot of intentional work for you, the community, and more. And come hang out with us and learn what Steven has in store for you. So come on, let's go talk with him. Come with me. I'm very grateful to be sitting down with you today to just share your truth, right? That's what today is about, revealing who the man is behind Yoga for Philly. Who is Steven J. Brice? Who are you?
Who is Steven Brice? Steven is a person who, I know who I am, and I know why I exist. So my individual purpose statement is to be liberated and to liberate for a better social world. So the first part, to be liberated, suggests that I'm constantly reevaluating myself. I'm constantly asking the question, what within my domestication is helpful and what is harmful? And that which is helpful, I want to magnify, I want to nurture, I want to feed, and ensure that it is a part of my offering to the world, so I can be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
But that which is harmful, I'm asking, is it redeemable? And if it is not redeemable, do I have the courage to do away with it? So I am constantly reevaluating the ways in which I've been domesticated, so that I can be free.
Yes.
And be my best self,
yes.
Right? But then the second piece is to walk alongside other people in their liberation in whatever way that may mean. So I'm a counselor, I'm a theologian, I am a friend, I am an activist, I am a healer, I'm all of these different things. And so whenever I'm interacting with an individual, I'm paying attention to them. I am paying attention to what they need, and everything is tailor-made for that particular individual. And I just believe that liberated people grounded in love and kindness and radical generosity will make this world just a little bit better.
Yes.
And so Steven is someone who knows who he is, why he exists in the world. And the blessing, the gift, is that every single day, from Sunday to Sunday, I wake up and I get to live in my purpose, right? Everything that I do, all the multiple hats that I wear, are intimately connected to my purpose.
Yes.
So yeah, I come from my parents. My parents are from Haiti.
Okay.
They grew up poor. My dad in particular, his story is very inspirational. His father left the home, left my grandmother and maybe 9 to 12 kids. My dad, being the oldest, he sacrificed his childhood to work X amount of jobs just to provide for his family, him being the oldest person. And same with my mom. My mom's dad left the home, and they had a lot of kids. And if you know, Haiti is parts of Haiti is very poor, and so my parents grew up in a poor situation. And when they got married, they had a vision for their family to provide something better, right? So they migrated to New York City without any education,
Okay.
And they hustled illegally to make ends meet, and they drilled within myself and my siblings the importance of education and the importance of having a vision. That, coupled with my religious upbringing, shout outs to the King's Church for being a part of my foundation, but then also growing up in New York City, right? That's just a whole vibration, a whole world within itself. And so these different segments, these different nuances help shape help shape the way I see the world and how I see myself, and the importance of having a vision and going after it and being relentless, no matter what.
Yeah. Right? So let's kind of piggyback on that. What is it like to, one, receive that vision? What is that process of, first of all, receiving that vision and then bringing that vision to life?
Yeah, receiving the vision is fun. That's the fun part. That's when you get to, you're like a kid in a candy store, and you're excited, can't wait to, enjoy all the candies that you want to buy and pick out. It's like being in Disney World and you see all those rides. That's the fun part, right? Yeah. Just the imagination is exciting. But the process of actually going after your dreams is extremely challenging. It is difficult. It tests your confidence in your dream.
And commitment.
Yeah. It lets you know if you really want to do this. And if your vision is intimately connected and tied to you as a person, then the answer is yes. And so you begin to find joy in the struggle, right? You find joy in the stress. You find your door when all the other doors are closed. And so it becomes a beautiful burden.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You're having fun. You realize the gift of living and executing your vision, but you also want to recognize and but respect the burden, the pressure, the heartache that it takes to execute your vision.
Right.
So it's a beautiful burden.
And so I guess let's just get more into Yoga for Philly.
Yeah.
So tell us, one, what you all represent right now, and then I'd love to get into the process of receiving that vision and bringing it to life.
Yeah, it's important to note that Yoga for Philly was born out of my own crisis, right? I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was miserable, I was in what St. John of the Cross and Mother Teresa will call the dark night of the soul, this period of darkness where you feel detached from your higher power. You have a vision of who you need to be and where you need to go, which often calls you to say goodbye to the old you, say goodbye to the ways in which you've been domesticated, say goodbye to the expectations of those who love you and poured into you and invested in you. And you're in this in-between period where you see where you need to be, you know where you've come from, but you're not there yet. So you're in this holding pattern, you're in this tension, you're in this struggle.
Yeah.
And it's painful, right? To look in the eyes of those who've invested in you, who believed in you, and to say, I appreciate what you have done for me, but I have a different vision for myself.
Yeah.
That is painful. That is hard. And then when you're alone, you think to yourself, am I crazy? Like, is there something wrong with me?
Right.
Why can't I just follow the path that was paved for me? Why can't I just be normal?
Right.
And so when I was in that space, I was looking for solutions. I was looking for ways to help me cope with that crisis, with that tension. And so I was listening to one of Russell Simmons' interviews as he was launching his then new book, The Happy Vegan. And if you know anything about Russell is big on practicing yoga and meditation, and being vegan. So I just decided to Forgive me, I'm taking a long way around to answer your question. Yeah, so he's big on practicing yoga meditation. So I decided to try something new. So I went on YouTube on January the 1st, 2015, and I started the 30 days of yoga with Adrian. And listen, I fell in love with yoga. Shout outs to Adrian. I've never met her before. It was what her program on YouTube is amazing. And I love the practice of yoga so much to where living in Dallas, Texas at the time, I joined a studio called St. Yoga and Wellness Center, which no longer exists, heartbreaking. But nonetheless, my time there deepened my practice of yoga and meditation. I fell in love with the staff. I fell in love with the students. I love that place so much to where oftentimes I would stay for a second class. I was there 7 days a week. I attended as many classes as I could because I loved that space and I knew what it was doing for me in my crisis. But I couldn't help but to realize one day that oftentimes I was the only black male in that space. And knowing the trauma that black people or people of color live with and they face on a daily basis, I knew that this space needed to be more accessible to people of color. So fast forward to April the 23rd, 2019, I established Yoga for Philly, 501c3. That idea of making yoga and meditation and other mindfulness tools and applications accessible to people of color grew and expanded to now making yoga and meditation accessible to everyone, right? So now we're working to not only provide mindfulness tools to people of color, but also to students in schools, as well as for our school administrators, offering chair yoga to our precious seniors. And here in Philadelphia, there's a neighborhood called Kensington, a neighborhood that has largely been impacted by poverty, drug abuse, and sex trafficking. So we offer recovery-based, trauma-informed yoga and other mindfulness tools in that neighborhood, inviting whoever shows up to have access to these tools.
Now I believe that there's a lot of yin and yang to life, right? So you had to go through that darkness to experience the light and to share that with others. And what do you think that, I guess, resonates with other people in physical form, some of the darkness that you went through? Beyond yoga, what are some of the community members that you feel like you're able to really connect with and to see a transition within them from coming to your events?
That's a powerful question, very important question. I believe that to speak to the yin and yang, in order for you to truly appreciate light, you gotta understand darkness. So darkness is a part of light, or a part of life rather, right? So when I guide in my meditation, when I lead people in meditation, I end by saying the light and the darkness in me honors and respects the light and the darkness that exist in you, right? It's a duality there, right? I'm wearing mala beads and all these nice, things that helps me in my meditation, in me showing up in the world, but it doesn't mean that I don't have darkness in me. There are moments where I could easily fall back into depression. And so I do yoga, I meditate, and incorporate other mindfulness tools to continue to help me work through the light and the darkness, right? And so I'm able to relate to other people because I'm still working through it. I haven't figured it out yet. I have not figured it out yet, right? I'm still working through it. And I just have the capacity to create spaces to invite people to work through it together in community, right? And also the courage, right? It takes courage to be vulnerable, to say, listen, I know I'm offering this thing to you and offering this space for you, but don't get it twisted. I need this space too for myself, right? So now I'm not going to say that I understand all the various nuances of people's experiences and realities. I'm not going to say that. I don't. I just know my experience, and I'm not going to say that because I've experienced what I've experienced that it makes me the president, so to speak, for to kind of speak for other people. No, I just know that I have some scars that are with me, that humbles me, that allows me to be more open and receptive to other people, and I know what I needed when I was going through it. So I want to become who I didn't have in my life. I know what it's like to be friendless. I know what it's like to have a community of people that love you, but don't know how to love you. I know, I just know, right? I know that feeling. I know how it feels to be surrounded and be lonely. And so out of my own pain and experience, it shapes the way I engage other people. And it moves me to be a student of people. There is no end to this story, this journey. We are on our way to experiencing some things that I, as the leader, the visionary, had not thought of. There are doors that are opening that I'm not prepared for. There are experiences, there are wins and losses that are waiting for me, right? And I realize that it is so important to have support from our students, our donors, our fans, friends, family, you name it. And I welcome all of that. But at the event that is not provided to me, I'm going to live empty. I'm going to give my all to the world, hoping that my contribution will make the world just a little bit better. And my goal, personally, is to be able to die knowing that I have nothing left to give. So when I'm lying on my deathbed, I want death to be the only thing I have left to do, because I've given everything to the world.
That's powerful. That is powerful. And tell me how, because we are ready to receive all that you are going to continuously share, but tell me how, and beyond meditation and yoga, you're going to maintain Stephen's cup. How are you going to continue filling into your cup so that we can continue to receive?
Yeah, I'm still trying to learn that. I'm like, if you've ever noticed kids in a playground, they're just running wild, they're free, exploring the jungle gym, all the amenities that the park that they're playing in has to offer. And if you watch them carefully and long enough, you'll realize that kids can go and go and go and go and play and play and play and play endlessly without taking breaks. And as a grown-up or as someone who might be more mature and more mindful than a child, you realize that they're tired, they need some water, they need to take a break. But because they're so excited about what they're doing and they're having so much fun, they fail to neglect themselves. And I want to confess that that's me. Right? Even though I'm dealing with all the challenges that there is to leading and building and things like that, I'm having a blast. I'm having a good time with what I'm doing. Every day I get up, I have the opportunity to place my feet on the floor and say, thank you. I'm living out my dreams, my vision. I'm at the playground playing, having a good time, right? Non-stop.
Right.
But I'm realizing now that I sometimes I need to take a break and drink and cool off. So so it's a learning curve for me, and so I'm learning to say no to certain things. I'm learning to Sabbath and rest and to detach. But even with that, it requires me to have better foresight of when I will need to rest.
If you had to think of one of the tools you've received from yoga, one of the main tools that have helped you in your yoga practice, but also in life that you're able to use, you know, whatever you've learned during that time in a practical solution in life, what would that be?
Be present, right? As your breath is always present with you. One of my teachers, my yoga instructors at Sync Yoga and Wellness Center used to say that life is a practice of progress. I loved taking his classes, but I was also aware that his classes were very challenging because his sequence will eventually move us into putting our bodies into a pretzel, right? He would bring us on a journey into those challenging poses. So it wasn't cold turkey or anything like that, right? He was guiding us into, you know, those moments, and on our way to getting to those pretzel moments, as I would like to say, he would remind us along the way, remember to breathe, remember your breath, right? And so, so whenever we got into those tight spaces, one, our bodies were already warmed up, right? We were ready for it, whether we believed it or not.
Right.
And that's the other piece, the other element to it, where your mind can sometimes cause you to, you know, press the brakes, not knowing that you're ready for this, that you could do this, right? And so as you battle with your mind and finally tell your mind that yes, I can do this, you enter into those tight, weird pretzel-like yoga poses. Yeah. And then you will hear him say, remember your breath. And you've been hearing him say that all the time, and you've been practicing that. You've been putting that into practice. You've been breathing, right? And so when you're in those tight spaces, you're breathing. You recognize the tension. You recognize the stretching. You recognize the weirdness, the awkwardness of the pose, of the particular yoga pose. But then you also realize that this pose won't last forever. And that is a principle for life, right? We all enter into tight spaces. Yeah. We all find ourselves in challenging situations. But if we could remember our breath and also remember that this won't last forever, then we could, you know, be successful and grow and be productive even in tight situations, right? So remember to breathe. Inhale and exhale. You're ready for it. Life's journey has prepared you for that moment. It's not cold turkey. It shouldn't be a surprise. You are prepared for it. So know that. Inhale and exhale. And also know that it's not going to last forever. What yoga helps me to do and meditation helps me to do is to be present, to breathe in the moment.
That moment, that uncomfortable phase will not last forever. But as long as you breathe through it, you'll see yourself through. You'll see the light. It'll become less uncomfortable as time goes on.
Absolutely. Life, or rather practice, doesn't make perfect, but practice makes progress. And that's the point of life.
If there was something that you were to share with our viewers, our listeners, on who are kind of going through a similar place, maybe they've experienced ways in which they can experience relief through different tools of their own, but it still comes up. They're still human.
Yeah.
And so what's something that you would share that maybe you even tell yourself when these moments come up to kind of just get you out of it with other viewers who are resonating with this?
That it gets better. It does. And it may not be a runway of things getting better. It's intertwined with the drama, so to speak. It's mixed up. You know, you're gonna have good days. You might have a streak of good days. And in those moments, enjoy it, right? Like absorb it, hug it, hold on to it for as long as you can. So even though I'm getting emotional and tearing up and I'm being honest with where I am even today, it does get better and it's worth it. You know, when you hang on, you know, your relief will come. Yeah. And so it becomes a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster where you go through the ups and downs. And when you find your reason for existing in the world, when you find your purpose, when you find why you exist, and when you realize that what you go through is a setup for you to be a gift to the world, that you become a flower. You position yourself to blossom, right? And so yeah, like I'm aware that I do carry weight, and it does impact my mental health at times. But I'm also aware that I get to make the world better through my own pain, through my own struggle. And that alone is worth not giving up. That alone is worth hanging on and living.
Well, thank you today for being so vulnerable with us, sharing your current truth, your past, future truth in which you want to bring to life. I know there are a lot of people who are going to resonate with how you're feeling, mental health being one of the biggest things that is of discussion right now, especially still going through a pandemic of some sort.
Right.
And so thank you, because everyone's going to experience these up and downs. And I know that on the next episode, we're going to help everyone learn how they can continue to have the tools within community to help bring them out of these moments where things feel so dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah.
And emotional.